Welcome to Pirate Radio, where the high Z button wasn't pressed on input 2. I have to hold this thing like this the whole time. This episode is brought to you by shitty mic stands.
You look like Steven Tyler from Aerosmith.
Wow! I'll go everywhere with this. Hank! So, we gotta do. This episode is brought to you by. I got one.
I don't know if I have one. Do I have to do one?
No. I'll just do one. This episode of Real Garbage is brought to you by Triumph Motorcycles. I still got a hard on.
Also brought to you by Shut Your Fucking Mouth, you stupid cat.
This is Real Garbage.
Yo.
Maybe you shouldn't cut it out.
Leave that. Shut the fuck up.
Quiet on set, cat.
Mango
Yes.
is the name of the cat. What's up, man?
Breezy out there.
I'm here in Brandon, Manitoba, the oven of Canada this summer.
It's very, very dry right now. Like, unbelievably dry.
Like if you farted on dry grass, it might start on fire.
Well, did you see my, like I was bragging about my crisscross pattern in my lawn? The grass is like yellow and dusty. Check out them lines, brother. They're nice.
Looks good. You walk on the grid. That'll cut your feet, man.
Yeah,
Just keep your shoes on.
Don't go out there with bare feet. That's all thistles, man.
I tried it yesterday.
Yeah.
It was like, it's not bad. It's a little scratchy.
Well, it's like green spots in the shade, I suppose, but I'm not somebody who waters their lawn by any means.
Just let it die.
I'm not about all that vanity.
There are a ton of people that put a ton of energy into their lawn. And like water. Like we need drinking water. They're like, we got to keep the grass green.
Well, I always feel bad for like keeping my neighbors at my old place because I'd like see mine. And it's just like a yard of clover and thistle, basically. Just keeping it cut down so it looks all right. Just cut the driveway. Don't even.
A couple gravel patches.
And my neighbor right across the street has this beautiful lawn, like beautiful little gardens everywhere and everything. And I'm like, he must just like grind his teeth looking out his window at mine or sitting on his nice little perfect patio at my ghetto spot across the place, right?
You don't fit the neighborhood, boy.
I got like 3 lawnmowers.
I ain't cutting shit, old man.
Yeah, I don't cut my trees until they're like a problem, like a serious problem.
Just hitting yourself in the face with branches as you go into your truck.
Pretty
All
much,
right,
pretty much.
Snip these ones back at least.
Did you notice that driving around today? I noticed it on First Street more than anywhere else, but the trees are like letting the sap go. It almost looks like wet on the streets. And
That's
like,
what happens in my car back home.
Well, I haven't seen it like this in Brandon. Like the streets are covered in it basically all along First Street, and I was like worried at first when I was riding around this morning because I was like, oh, is it like wet or greasy? But I'm like, it's plus 30 and it's not, and there's no clouds.
We're in a drought.
Yeah, we're in a drought.
It's a drought.
So I assumed it made my tires stickier actually, but I didn't test the theory to see if I could hammer through a corner better. But that's all I need.
Just up on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
It works really good.
But nonetheless, this awful. Speaking of racing through corners.
Oh my God. Trading paint.
Yeah, thankfully, you remember the name.
Something like that.
John Travolta sucks.
John Travolta is a terrible mumble actor.
Well-
Hold on. Yeah, I got made notes on this.
Okay.
Yeah, this movie, you told me about it. I didn't realize it was even out. It's brand new. How did you find out about this movie?
I think there was like another terrible John Travolta movie that popped up and
Wait,
like
he has more?
there's a bunch, right? Like
there's
it's like the Nicolas Cage effect or something. This is what guys do when they run out of cool movies to do or
Have to pay a
Post
lot of money
Face
in
Off.
taxes. Yeah.
post Face Off
I
era.
want to take his face and put it on my face.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I was just I saw a bad Travolta movie going up. I'm like, yeah, but then I saw one about racing, and I'm like, oh, this has got to be just terrible, and it didn't let us down, anyways.
Oh, it was. We looked at the scores first. It was 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it didn't say hasn't been reviewed yet. So I'm assuming that is a real score, which is awesome because there's only been like 3 or 4 movies I've seen with 0%.
It doesn't really need to be reviewed.
No.
It doesn't require, like I said, the audience this is built for is, I don't even know who would find it, right? Like unless it's being played on like Hallmark Channel type of deal.
This is the kind of thing that comes on at 11 o'clock at night when you're almost asleep on the couch. You're like, I'll watch it.
Yeah, but like what redneck hillbilly has logged into Amazon Prime on his television and hooked to the internet? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, it's not like you're going to find this unless I haven't had cable in years, but I guess on like those on-demand movies, would it come up in those like on-demand movies you get with like a cable package or a satellite?
I like to think that Amazon Prime is probably has the worst catalog. 80% of it is the stuff that you'd never watch.
It's fucking terrible.
It's bad.
It is. It's like everybody else is like, there's no way we're putting this on our network or our streaming service. And Netflix or Amazon Prime's like, give it to me, bro.
We'll take it. We'll take your garbage. I don't even like the color scheme and the interface of Amazon Prime. Like I don't even like going through it because as soon as I click on it and it's not Netflix, I go, ugh.
It's a big fuck you. They're just like
the search, like you can even hit like search it as you type in, it gives you something, but you're like, that's not relevant to what I even typed in, but here's 80 other titles that might sound like what you're thinking of, but they're not even close.
Well, and they have lots of those ones that are like disguised as something, but they're actually kind of religious. There's some sort of like
I haven't noticed those.
There's just lots of odd documentaries that like should be on YouTube that couldn't make it on YouTube, I guess. But yeah, that's what I noticed about Amazon. Most of the time, it's usually just junk and awful movies.
Dude, these Leclerc Choco Max nougat bars.
Leclerc. It's Canada. We say Leclerc.
Leclerc. Listen, Leclerc. Give me some of your Choco Max sweet biscuits.
I love how that's like next to, apparently healthy, like Nutri-Grain bars. Well, not that they're healthy, but
it's all garbage.
It's like, they're like, fuck that. We're just going to call them Choco Max. Eat this, you fat piece of shit.
Pure nougat wrapped in chocolate. This thing is like diabetes in bar shape.
I love it. Would it surprise you to hear that I've eaten like 8 in the last 2 days?
Not at all. Man, I can see me eating like 4 of these in a row. Just fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't even care.
Well, it's too bad because I ate most of them, so there's like...
You son of a bitch.
Yes, but anyways, the plot of this movie, you got notes. Start us off with something so I can
it's a basic synopsis of this movie is John Travolta is a...
Of which movie exactly? There seem to be about 3 movies shot here that all just kind of mingled and... split apart, and then we're like, what?
And didn't really intertwine at all.
Yeah.
But it's three. So it's John Travolta is a dad with a son. His son races for his racing team, and keeps dirt track racing. Then they keep losing for about 3 years. Is apparently the problem. There's engine issues,
and again,
that they never fix.
Well, and they never, like I said, they don't. There's no building of anything. Like, they don't talk about it. They're just information is thrown at us all the time, and we're like, well, who's this? Or why is this here?
It's a new character. And there's one character. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, they never showed us that daughter. Remember that the
Nope,
girl who came out and like, crossed her arms?
Walked out, and I was like, so what's leads me to believe, and you said as well, that there was another hour of this movie that had been shot. This was a 2.5 hour epic that got chopped down to an hour 26 because there was so much shit that was missing. But the son quits the racing team because they keep losing and starts driving for their nemesis.
And let's also say, like, he quits racing for the family team because it's,
keep losing.
Because he's got that boat anchor in the front or whatever that guy said.
You got to get rid of that boat anchor.
There was no, like, offer of anything really great. Like, the guy's like, yeah, come race for me. But he didn't, like, talk about how much more money he would make. There was no, like, you'll make the big leagues, like... You know what I mean? Like, there was no like payoff at the end. There was nothing. It seemed like to jump teams.
I
it was
can't
just
even remember
it was just only for plot. Like, it wasn't.
I can't even remember the conversation that they had.
Because
like,
it should be like
conversation.
It should be like, Dad, I really need the money. He's gonna pay me this much, and I got a chance at real NASCAR. Camping Truck World Series. Blah blah blah.
I'm gonna go fast and turn to the left.
Fucking V8s and stuff, right? But yeah, so I'm just like, he just went and he was just like, I have to do this. I can't lose anymore. It's like, really? You're that much of a fucking...
Well, this is the thing.
You're that shallow that you're just like, I don't want to lose anymore. It's like you're racing with your dad and you guys are obviously like close to whatever, having nothing based on nothing. We don't know any, there's no talk of financials.
No. Well, the only thing they make reference to is the end. Oh, they've been plagued with engine trouble for the whole season or like the past 2 seasons. It's like, well... Fix your get a new engine. And why wasn't that your first priority? Like, you've been racing for 3 years. It's almost like they get in the same broken car. And, oh, maybe it'll be different this time.
it is tough for me watching movies like this, and I guess it's for anybody who's like knows a bit about this, whatever the sport or the
You can
the
tell
thing.
everyone you were a NASCAR fan.
I don't watch it that much anymore, but I do understand how it all works, and I'm kind of even like paying attention to F1 stuff right now just because it interests me. I just want to know how
That
it all
shit's
works.
crazy.
And it's these people. They listen to somebody for like 5 minutes about how racing works. And like, yeah, we got it. You know,
We understand.
we understand how racing works. And it was all so stupid the way the passing was. And even I called it before we watched it. Like I'm like, this is mostly going to be like a little bit outside the car when it's racing, but it'll mostly be like helmet shots of their eyes, and we won't know what's really going on because you can't get that much emotion out of it. And that's what it was. It's like, here he comes with the pass, and it's like we're in the car with them. We can't see anything. There's no.
He's just looking to his left.
Yeah, but
What a shot!
I'll give it credit. There was more out of the car shots than I thought. Like even I've heard you talk about before, like the zoomed in because they can't afford
Yeah.
sets and all that kind of
Small
stuff.
small budget movies.
Yeah,
lots
I'm
of
like
zoomed in shots
Travolta really brings enough budget that they can zoom out a little bit and show everything.
and get him in a medium shot, just turning opposite way of the camera and just getting different reaction shots in this opening scene.
Yeah.
Stroking his face. It was almost like they said, just do your own thing. And he did, and they never went like, no, let's try that again. Like, no, he looks concerned now. Oh, I see he's angry now. It's pretty much just all the same.
Well, and even like we complained about those shots where we can't hear anything and the subtitles are like inaudible
No.
chatter. It was just like a series of Travolta doing like reaction shots to things that weren't happening. Like, even that birthday party at the end, like, and
Oh, God.
yeah, and even some of the earlier panning shots when it was like showing the racing and then it would go back to the pits and even at the very start.
Yeah.
It was
it's
just
like in this
was just a series of him like making concerned faces and again like there was so many shots that were just long and unnecessary. We get it.
Yeah.
You're
concerned. Are you going to lose again?
Yeah, it was it could have been way worse, I suppose, but it still just infuriates you when you're watching it because
Well, that's why I think that this movie was originally 2 hours long or something.
and I think it was one of those ones where somebody wrote it thinking it was actually going to be a real big movie, and I like because there's no acknowledgement that there's anything bigger than this racing, so it's almost like it's written with the intent to be like a NASCAR movie. And I said there was weird sponsors that were in it, like they were showing Sunoco and there was a couple other actual brands that they showed. So I'm like, they were attached in some way. So it wouldn't surprise me if NASCAR even financed it in some way or some wing of NASCAR because there's like 9,000 different little racing leagues all over the place.
This is what happened. So when they originally shot it, NASCAR was sponsoring the whole thing. Everything was in there. And then they got to show the people from NASCAR what the finished product looked like. And they were like, pull our fucking shit out of this movie. And they just deleted every scene that had anything else in it.
And they're like, we'll show him just the scenes with Michael Madsen. He'll act his socks off. And it's just, let me tell you about it. Like I said, Boomhauer or a cross between Matthew McConaughey and Hank Hill. Dazed and Confused Matthew McConaughey.
After eating a bowl full of gravel. Like, what is, you can't understand a word he says. We turned the subtitles on about 3/4 of the way through, or halfway through.
And Michael Madsen's supposed to be good. And I guess
I think about him in Reservoir Dogs.
and like, was John
Torture
Travolta
you.
ever really considered good? I was trying to think because when I said, I'm like, when's the last good movie he's been in?
look,
Broken Arrow? I'm like,
look
Broken
who's-
Arrow sucked too, right?
Look who's talking. Look who's talking too.
yeah.
He was
But
okay
those are
in-
awful movies too, really, when
They
it comes
are.
down to it.
Oh,
But
they
they are
are.
great. I was traumatized by the toilet scene when the toilet talks to the kid. I think that might be Look Who's Talking Too. Where he's like, give me pee-pee. I remember that scared me so much whenever I watched it. I was like 6 or something.
It was ghoulies that made me scared of toilets growing up.
Ghoulies?
Ghoulies, man. They were
Which
little,
one's that? Is that
they-
like
little monsters would come out of the toilet.
Like
And they just hang on. I'll Google
like the
a picture
critter
of
ones?
ghoulies.
What were those ones?
Critters?
The ones you can't get water on. What were those ones?
Those are gremlins.
Gremlins. That's what I always think of them. Like
Gremlins kind of creep me out too. Like, why growing up in the 80s and 90s, we watched a lot of horror movies. A lot.
Even like me and my buddy Eric from way back there, we used to go to like that Clemenson's had the
Clemenson's
5 for
movies and
$5
more.
of the old shit.
10 movies,
And
10
we'd always
days,
just
$10.
load up on old horror movies, but we were doing it just because we wanted to see gross shit.
Look at this thing.
Oh, okay, I kind of remember it.
Creepy as shit. Like that's
you
like
know what? I remember having like a puppet from that. To be honest,
Really?
I think the movie is almost based on like a cartoon or the toy, for some reason. Because I feel like there's a series of toys that were all those ugly things, and they were like this weird gooey fucking thing, and they're gross if you left them out for too long because they get all that fuzz and stuff stuck to them because they like absorbed everything. Awful toys.
All sticky toys were terrible.
Yeah.
And like, okay, the sticky hand that was good until you hit somebody with a dirty shirt or a linty shirt. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't stick anymore.
Yeah. I can't remember where we had the movie. We led to Ghoulies from home. What'd you do? And Travolta definitely had a piece in this movie, which was acting better than him most of the time. It felt like.
Okay, now we learn we got a short flashback.
Oh, right. The
To
flashback.
his wife.
Movie 2.
Second movie.
Act 1, movie 2. That's what this is. So we got the first act that shows us racing, and now we get flashbacks that never get ended.
They're driving in what seems to be like a truck.
It looks like a pickup truck inside.
It definitely was not a Boss Mustang.
It didn't feel like it because I almost feel like there was an outside shot that showed 2 trucks, right? When it got
That's
to
what I saw. I saw like a truck, and I'm pretty sure the other guy was like a Bronco or something, not going very fast on a major road, which would look like.
But even forget that. You would have saw that if you were looking at the fucking road.
Yes.
Not trying to neck.
Eyes closed, turned right sideways, making out with his wife in the truck at full speed down a road.
And like 2-hand embrace, not just like
Hands off the wheel.
leans over with one eye on the road and like has that little side kiss you do with your special one. But he turns his whole, because he can't turn his neck, right? We established that too. Like, he has to turn his whole body.
Travolta's neck in this movie was huge.
And he turns his whole body and makes out with his wife, eyes closed, driving down the road, and then all of a sudden he turns and there's a truck right in front of him. They swerve out of the way, and that's the flashback. His wife is dead. Apparently, that's what we get from this.
Yeah.
But we don't know what happened. He missed the truck in this flashback.
Yeah, no scene to a rollover or crash. So now we're thinking, all right,
like,
okay, maybe
close call.
Maybe we just got the first chunk of this flashback. Maybe we're gonna get more.
Maybe he rolls when they swerve to miss that vehicle. We missed the part where they roll, or they're gonna show us that in like 20 minutes, right?
Or like hospital footage or
Nope,
ambulance.
never,
nothing.
Never.
So
They never show us.
It goes back to.
But we get.
Okay, he's back in his.
So even we can keep going on movie 2 about that. Yeah, I was gonna say just because about the Mustang. So we know he has that. He comes into his garage.
That's right.
After his son quits his team to go work for his nemesis, Michael Madsen, who's like a hot shot, dyed his hair, and always removes his hat in a certain way so he doesn't rip the toupee off. It looks like
Slowly.
But he has that car, which again, the flashback seems to be in a truck. And he doesn't show the car, and then he has Shania Twain as the girl, his special love interest in the movie, and she like takes a peek, and he's like, "Don't you dare touch my shit!
Don't touch my Mustang."
And he covers it back up again, so we don't see the Mustang. He doesn't really talk about it, and then he just sells it later in the movie to raise money.
Well, we see one more flashback. That's when he's giving her he's got a keys dangling in his hand. Yeah, so she comes out, and she's like, "Oh my God, it's a Boss Mustang." We don't get to see her drive it or do anything with it. So. And now, okay, let's just wrap this car thing up right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because later on, when he goes to sell it, he takes it out, rips around some donuts in a school parking lot in the middle of the
where
day.
Shania Twain teaches.
Yes.
Because she wanted to ride in the car, basically, and then he's like, eat shit, and goes and cuts some shitters out in the elementary school parking lot. And not just a couple, like he's burning the rubber off. Like he's literally shredding the tires off in the parking lot. I'm like, that's kind of a dick move. Like, I don't know if you...
Oh, yeah. Is
that appropriate?
I'm sure the principal's going to be going, who the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, well, it's kind of the guy that's sort of into me. And he eventually says that he loves her. So why wouldn't you take her for a ride in that car before you sold it? Yeah.
One last ride.
You piece of shit.
Wow.
It's
so
inconsiderate.
And even when he like sells the car to his arch nemesis, for some reason he wants to buy it. It's because he's a Ford dealer by the looks of it, and Ford's letting their symbol show in this, so they must attach money to it as well. But again, he's just like, oh, why now? But like, even if there was a crash in that car with his wife and he fixed it back up or whatever, and she died in it, like, wouldn't Michael Madsen have said something like, "Are you sure you want to give it up after?" You know what happened to Mary or Martha, or whatever.
Yeah,
like Martha just for Batman.
Because he did. I think he said one part, Martha. My mom's name is Martha.
That's
too.
how him and the bad guy or the nemesis reunite. They're like, your wife's name was Martha. My
I'm gonna
mother's name is
save Martha.
And
Hold on. What was I saying?
But that's the car story,
Oh
basically.
yeah. So when he goes to sell it to him, at the start of the conversation, I caught something like he says like, "Why would you want to come and sell your car when it's got sentimental value?"
I like how you turn that into like a macho man.
He's leaning on everything too. He's like,
Oh, yeah,
hold
yeah.
on,
The
let me
physically.
go over here and
And his
hang on to
pointing.
the wall.
His
And points
at things. I don't know what.
points
not,
at you, Hulk Hogan.
and it's sweet when like I remember like I bet you he's pointing at something and like the camera would zoom, take to him and he'd be the fucking arm out pointing
Both
at
hands.
something. Yeah, 2 points.
Pointing.
Yeah, it was great. He did act himself out of a wet paper bag. That's for sure.
At one point I said it was the William Shatner School of Acting. Like, every line he delivered, he was moving somewhere. Never planted his feet. He's just dumping over here now. Now
Well-
I'm gonna shift this arm over here.
Yeah, and even
grab
okay. So
that.
we get rid of the car. So that seems to be movie 2 that we didn't get to see. There was some other story about the wife, and who knows what the son could have been involved in that too. Like again, we don't see any like real sadness from the son about the mother being
I don't
gone.
see any real sadness about from anybody in this movie.
No, but I mean, they don't even try to give
But
you
yeah.
a story of it. There's a little bit like my mom. He says something like that at one point in the movie, doesn't he? He does bring up his
Yeah,
mom.
he says like, "You were my rock when Mom died.
Yeah,
you were my rock."
Yeah, when he's giving the speech after he wins, that's what
Yeah.
it is. That's what. Sorry, I'm pointing like Michael
Yeah.
Madsen.
So point at me,
Let me
Michael.
tell you, Gooch. Yeah. Oh, God.
So Shania Twain comes over and they go for a little picnic on the side of the lake. And this is where we're
right.
going, wow, the audio is pretty much all ADR. And it's awful.
Yeah.
It's so awful. And like they just stay on this one weird 2-shot where we can see him like stretched out, her kneeling there, and they're like,
Oh yeah, he
"Ugh."
was doing the Titanic
Yeah.
pose on the bench or whatever.
Paint me like one of the old French girls.
And did they have dinner that night where we had the weird mirror thing going on? Because remember,
Oh my
there's the
God.
start of many mirrors in the shot, and we're like, "Why? I don't want to see the
No.
back left side of somebody's head while they're, like it just every time we noticed it, we're like,
Yeah,
there's
why are
another
there so many
fucking
mirror
mirror.
shots
There's,
in
there's
this
a
movie?
mirror behind them again. Why would they do this?
I think there's a dinner coming up. Hold on. So the audio is terrible. Oh, okay. This drives me fucking nuts. When people blink when they talk to you, like it's an acting thing. Like most, Travolta was good. He was maintaining eye contact with
They're
everybody.
actors, Jeff.
Hey, when I've
They're-
done some acting, I got to
Blinking
critique it.
is part of.
But she closed her eyes every time she said something. She'd be like, "Listen, I have to tell you something." Eyes open.
But remember, you said there's people like that in real life, so
know.
that's what she's acting like. Is one of those people. Remember, she's that.
it's really strange that Shania
She's
Twain.
that deep.
It's strange that Shania Twain would be that shy.
She's like the Daniel Day-Lewis.
bastard from a basket.
She's the female Daniel Day-Lewis. She's really into it.
Danielle Day-Lewis.
Daniel
Danielle.
Day-Louise.
Dan-
I know that's cheesy.
It worked though.
It was good. It's good.
Oh yeah. So it's this, you know what donuts are, right?
Oh right. Yeah, they're round, fluffy pastry, deep fried,
Would you
delicious.
like to go rip some donuts?
And yeah,
Well, no, like she's like, "Oh, what are donuts?" And then the next thing, of course, is "Woo! Up here in Ford country, the F-150 will get you where it needs to go, and you can rip donuts in it too."
and when she reads her like vows at their wedding, she's gonna bring up that day as the day she fell in love with him. We
Then
went.
she's gonna make a song about it,
We went and ripped shitters in the field in his Dodge pickup truck.
and my heart just melted.
Yeah, his toupee stayed on and everything.
His hair, what was up with his hair?
Like I said, his hair was the best actor in this movie, I think. Because even the scene where his son gets wrecked there and he's out of the car, like his hair was that whole scene, and that was a great. My son, whatever he said, he can't breathe. Yeah. It was really high pitched. He can't breathe. It's really bad. It's really bad. Sorry, I was skipping ahead, but
Oh yeah, we can jump all over the place.
yeah, just
Okay, so wait, now it comes
that's
to
that's the other movie. That's probably movie 3. Is that dark story? Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
there's-
and even when he sold the car, so I gotta go back to the car because we forget, because he's like giving up the car, and it's kind of like this sad scene almost when he agrees that he's like, I'm retired, I'm gonna give up the car. Da, 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 da. And the guy's like, fine, bring it back, or I'll get one of my guys to pick it up. He's like, I'll take care of it. And then you expect the next scene would be like some sort of, we expect the next flashback, right? Like that's when we expected to find out about the wife. but it goes into like, yee-hoo, doodly-doodly-doo, and he's fucking driving the shit out of it everywhere. It's fucking all happy, and it's a good time. And
He
like,
drives it on the track
and
in
that's
the
I said,
mud.
And these are, again, these other movies that just keep coming in. Like, abruptly, we're in fucking, you could write the title 3 different ways. Like I said, you could remove the G.
It's
you
the place
you
without
could spell
the
it.
pines
You could spell it with the
dirt
N
track
and
racing.
an R backwards, and then you could spell it with an apostrophe on the end. There's 3
Trading.
different movies.
Trading.
Because their accents are wrong for everybody. So you could say trading 3 different ways.
The accents were just awful.
Sorry, and I got to head there again, but I had to get that one out. I just remember that stupid music that came in because you're like, oh, this is going to be like a
happy
Lethal
montage.
Weapon flashback.
Well, then I love how he just drives the car onto the mud track first. And the track's
that
actually
too.
muddy for the first time.
This
We're still in the car.
fucking car.
The track's finally muddy. And
Yeah, because they're just another point of how shitty the racing stuff is. It's like not that I watch dirt racing, but I'm aware of it.
We've seen it.
I
I've
have
seen
like
it.
family members that do it around here on tracks. You get covered in dirt. There isn't wipers. Like, you're not getting your face shield wiped off. And theirs are crystal clear. Well, you even rode my bike today. Within like minutes of doing more than like 20, 30 mile an hour, you will get hit with bugs and they will splatter everywhere.
yeah.
So like, at the very least, raw.
Yeah, the physics of the actual racing was like they're just same position every time. Oh, he's on the outside and nothing looks different. I swear there was probably the same shot a few times.
Yeah.
I usually notice it, but it's hard to tell with dirt track racing because they're just going around in circles.
Well, it makes you appreciate real movie making because have you ever seen that that car rig they use on Fast and Furious? That's like a flipper car and it's like really low and it's got like an F1 motor in it and shit. They use it for shooting movies. It's a really cool stunt car and I think they can like CGI shit onto it after and make it look like anything.
Cool.
But you can tell like what money does because the reason they couldn't do real shots of that fucking race is because they're probably just in the back of like a Ford Ranger trying to shoot the action scenes with it.
Yeah.
So those cars are doing legit like 100 miles an hour sideways all the way around that fucking track. So
constant
they
drift.
would have to like build a race car that has a camera rig or something in order to do it legit or whatever it would be. So it makes you appreciate why big movies look so fucking good.
Oh fuck yeah!
Fast and Furious, as silly as it is. So you're like, fuck yeah! It's like,
Cinematic gold.
well, it reminds me of Idiocracy, like when they're watching TV and he just gets fucking hyped up on things blowing up and stuff. He's like, oh yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
The movie's so good. I haven't watched it in a while.
Yeah, it'd be a good one if even your co-host there hasn't seen it. Like
I don't think Katie has.
a good movie to watch because it's a fun one to talk about too.
Oh, fuck
Because you notice more and more things every time you watch it, and even probably more relevant now. How
Put
silly.
Gatorade on the plants. It's got what plants crave. Just put water on the plants. What do you mean from the toilet?
Like the toilet water.
So now we find John Travolta. No, so wait, does he race once before? Because he gets drunk. He goes to a bar and gets drunk and punches out some other
That's
racer.
before he races.
Yeah, okay.
and that's important later because he punches that dude, and that's the dude who fucks up his son.
Can't
That
remember, Jack something or Jake something.
something done. Jake Dunn.
Dunn.
Does that sound right?
That does sound right. Jake Dunn.
But we only see him once, like I said, considering that he's
Yeah.
the reason his son gets like blown up later in the fucking movie
By his father.
Because again, there's perfect scenes to do, and they don't seem hard to like come up with either, right? Like,
No.
okay, so the son gets spun by Jake Dunn on the track. The father accidentally crashes into him. They all live. But now he knows that guy probably intentionally touched him, right? And by the way they shot it, it was pretty blatant. Like they're like, oh, what's he doing? He's slowed right down
He's
to
giving
wait.
the thumbs up.
Yeah, the bad guy goes
I
by,
got
and
him.
gives him a something. You give each other a thumbs up, like wink, and then he's dropped back like 30 positions to wait for the leaders, and it's like. And those fucking announcers are like ad-libbing the plot as it goes. That's it. That's maybe even a better movie if it was just like every scene would come and they're like, all right, guys, Sam just finished telling the girl he loves her and then kissed her once and left abruptly for some reason. Seems like a pretty important moment. Like, why wouldn't you embrace a little longer?
Kiss her a little more.
Yeah, that's a better movie to me. Let's just have the monster truck announcers telling us every scene lead in. Like it's just
We find ourselves the main character at the house of his lover, walking on the door. He's knocking. We believe someone's coming to the door. Oh my God, it's her! I think they're gonna kiss her, Tom.
he's oh dear, the main character protagonist has sold his love's car. We have no backstory, and I don't feel like making it up.
Wait, hang on. So at the last part of him taking that car and selling it, he pulls up to Pulls
We're
up
coming back to this car again later.
to the dealership. Rolls it right inside because apparently there's just a spot waiting for him and the door is open.
Next to a brand new Mustang.
Brand new Mustang. Pulls it in. It doesn't look as dirty as it did on the track. Throws the keys to someone he doesn't know at the dealership and goes, "You might want to give it a wash."
Hey, jerkwad, wash my fucking cars.
Then he looks up to the office and sees Michael Madsen switching position 3 times on the wall while he's staring.
Because he wants to lean on like the back of a chair, but all he has is like that really high windowsill. So he's like over his own shoulder trying to look normal.
Straightens out the arm.
Like he does it all the time. Like, no, I designed my office this way.
This is the right height.
I chose this.
This is the right height.
I chose this.
That's what I lean on. Look down.
What Michael Madsen is known for Tarantino movies, but why is he good? Why is he considered good? Is it because he was Reservoir Dogs? Was it Madsen was in that?
Reservoir Dogs, he chopped the
And
ear off that
is he in
one
Pulp
dude.
Fiction too? He's in a couple at least of Tarantino's, isn't he? Maybe not.
He's in Kill Bill. He's in
Yeah,
Kill Bill
okay,
1
that
and 2.
But the same thing. He seems again. Not that I'm an actor by any means. I'm not trying to claim it, but I'm like, he doesn't seem that good.
He was not good in this movie.
It doesn't seem great.
He's not good in this movie.
I'm like, I can see it kind of in Travolta, but even Travolta seems like he's probably a comedic actor who just fell into dramatic roles.
Yeah.
Like Welcome Back, Kotter, Grease. All right, you can do that, but
Yeah.
After that, it's like, really? Like you're trying to...
That's when you got to have your agent should be going, hey,
Because
John,
he doesn't
maybe...
he's not even human. He doesn't even know how to hold his own face. Like when he was holding like his thumb into his cheek really hard. Like, yeah, everything was like alien. This is how a human would do it, right, guys?
Like Mark Zuckerberg drinking water.
Yeah. A human concern.
I just imagine, I think we were joking about this years ago, an episode of Ancient Aliens where they keep cutting between the guys talking and then all of a sudden it's an obvious alien with tentacles with a human disguise on like, no, I don't think aliens are real at all.
In the subtitle says human concern. Whatever.
Oh, the other guy's like, who the hell is this guy?
Sweats non-carbon based blood.
Start cutting back and forth between them. All of a sudden, each host is like, no, aliens aren't real. What do you think, Tom? No, aliens aren't real. One of us. So now, I think we're done with the car. Trophies.
Oh, right, the trophy.
It's like, first of all, we made it 25 minutes into this movie, and there was no racing except for this opening scene. It was just dramatic.
Well, because it was all it was done in 3 acts when you think about it. Each movie did have its 3 acts, like you'd expect, right? Because the racing kind of was the first part. Then they did the little more racing later before the kid gets hit.
Yeah.
And then they give us the end racing. So that is movie 1.
Yeah. So there's like multiple. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
movies.
3 acts is usually what shows and movies try to achieve, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe it's really meta, and we didn't get it. Maybe it's
Fuck meta.
Dear God, did we miss it all? Travolta, you genius!
This was the movie of the year.
It's fucking Broken Arrow all over again, man.
Give Travolta's hair an Oscar.
and give his facial hair best supporting actor.
What was up with his facial hair? He had like a spike going up each side.
Yeah, and it was a W. It was for Wario or Waluigi.
Waluigi.
Well, and that was the other thing that I was angry about the whole time was the progression of time. They would give it in movie 1. They gave us progression of time.
Yes.
They tell us where we're at in the race or the racing season. But the rest
sometimes.
of it, remember we were guessing. We're like, did the season end? What? Like, and then all of a sudden it's like we're into the next season. They didn't elaborate about anything, and even all those trophies that they showed of Sam's, John Travolta's character.
A lot of them.
There's no like, Sam was the greatest racer ever. There was never. They didn't build up these.
He doesn't walk in and go, that one's from when I started racing, and this one's from year 7.
It had to be. It all just makes sense that it's a bunch of movies they tried to make in one movie, right? Like,
or
if they would have just picked one and did a good plot, like stuck to it. It would have been good. Because even the son and his wife was a better, there's so much more there that they could have pulled out of. Because like I said,
they gave us nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
He quit for his dad's team, and he's racing for the competitor, and the competitor tells him to wreck his dad with his points.
I can't do
it. So there's all that, and he has a new baby, and they barely really say much about that, right? Like there's. You know, and he seems to like ignore the baby. It's like almost like if she handed it to him, he'd be like, yeah.
Well, he seems kind of sad through this whole movie. He's not even happy when he starts racing for this other guy.
And the wife is beautiful and supportive, like all the time. There's never even friction from her. Just perfect. And he's just like, fuck this. Fucking shitty motors. I need a new bullet under the hood.
Okay, so he quits, and then we have the dinner. And then he's racing now, and there's like they don't show us anything
Barely
between
any racing.
Well, no,
We showed us race one.
practice day. So practice day comes up, and this is when we were talking about how the dad and the son haven't even seen each other for however many weeks.
Yeah, and that's the progression of time, right? Because
because all of a sudden it's the day before race day. They're practicing, they're staring each other down. And then it's like first race after that.
And we can only presume like the son left partway through a first season. So like, did 3 seasons happen?
I feel like we started at the end of
because the son was injured for a long time too.
we started at the end of one season because that was the championship race.
At the last race,
the son started with the last race,
and that was
I
the
think.
son and the Nemesis guy, Michael Madsen, were racing in that race, the very first race.
Yeah.
So that season ended, and then the son went and raced for the bad guy, Michael Madsen, and John Travolta raced. So we go through that season,
we think,
because the son gets hurt in that season, presumably, and then
comes back to race for his dad.
But
third season.
Yeah, so and when they show us the last race at the end, where they're like main event, blah blah blah, that is
end of season
3. But we have no idea. That's the only way it could work because it's like he like got in a serious accident, couldn't walk and shit, and had to recover. So like that's a good 6 months, and like racing seasons are shorter than that probably, especially in bush league shit. So it's just silliness. But yeah, 3 seasons, and they never tell us. They never tell us. All we ever see is first race. Maybe did they show a second race?
It was Heat Race 1. Heat/Race 1. That's what we saw.
Feature / main event. It's like, as I said, they're just pulling it directly from the script.
Exterior race dusk.
Yeah.
So so they have that first race.
Camera pans left.
But he doesn't wear engine slang. So like, we missed a spot where the old boy is telling him he's got to swap out his
Stumpy.
He's got to telling Sam he has to swap out the engine. He's like, you got to get rid of that boat anchor you got under the hood.
You need a new bullet.
And
I couldn't figure out what bullet, how it worked as in his description of
what was the bullet sitting in?
Yeah.
Where was the chamber?
Is that the chamber? Is he the like revolt?
Is he the trigger?
Yeah, like I'm like, what
is the frame?
This movie is so deep. You have to really pick apart
bro.
the layers, man. You gotta find out what's going on. And that's the dad from Transformers 1, Shia LaBeouf's dad.
That took me some time. I was like, who are you talking about? Then I see like, wow, I've never seen him do that awful of an accent.
And he is in Seinfeld. In some sort of episode of Seinfeld.
Pretty sure he's the friend that comes to the party and stays. No, the guy stays right to the bitter end is bald dude from The Shield, Michael Chiklis. That guy stays all the way to the end of Seinfeld's party. Yeah, and he's like, oh man, like I could. I can't remember what he was trying to do. He was trying to get a ride. He was waiting for a cab.
I
think that was it.
I think we're both missing it by a little bit.
Probably.
But I know
out there going,
because I remember that dude being like Elaine's creepy boss or something in earlier seasons. But I could be wrong. It'll
Google it.
It'll bother me, and I'll look it up.
4 hours later, maybe he's this guy. Purple 23. Could have used you. Okay. So then, blah, blah, blah. The goddamn dialogue of these commentators. This guy's as fast as a thunder and lightning storm. Tied in a bow.
It was like they let him ad lib. As I said, they probably walked in. They're like, just give us your A material, bros. I'm sure it'll be great. One take, just do it. And that's what happened, I think.
They were hard to listen to.
Because they just kept saying the same thing, and it almost felt like they were the ones building the plot. Like we knew what was coming up based on how they described the race.
Oh yeah,
like things are getting pretty heated.
Here.
Just a little foreshadowing for you here, folks. But the father and son here have been getting kind of close and might have issues later on in the race.
Dun, dun.
Here we are, and we get to that was the end race because I asked for more information during the race scenes, and I was like, they're not fucking telling us anything, which we just complained about. And then fucking some reason the final race that they have, they're telling us the laps, and it's a much better version
full-on
of it.
lap counter. But there's one scene in this first race that never gets explained. I didn't know what the significance of it was. I'm pretty sure you didn't either. The cutaway scene in race 1 to Michael Madsen talking to some dude,
Yeah.
and they're yelling at each other.
Yeah, because it was like, why are they? Because you could kind of hear them. So you're like, it's dialogue. It's fucking dialogue. So why would they do it right in the middle of a race and not turn down the car noise? Like
We didn't
they
have
have
subtitles
control.
on at that time.
They've edited the movie, right? Like they're making the movie. They can do it however they want. They're like, how much track noise, boss? Leave it at a 10. Leave it at a 10.
Right up there.
Right up there.
It honestly feels like
You wouldn't be able to hear him if you were really there.
What the
Fuck, man.
We gotta make it feel real. The editing team on this movie were maybe like done editing their 5th movie or something. They've been up for 36 hours, 48 hours, and they're just on fucking drugs. Let's get this thing done, man.
It was edited by like a grade 8 high school class, maybe.
We didn't have much of a budget, so my friend Tom can do it. Tom's a crackhead, but
I used
he'll
iMovie.
get it done fast
They used iMovie and an iPhone X. That's how this
with-
movie is made.
with earbuds.
Yeah, and they didn't
for
even
monitoring.
have a MacBook. They just had the iPhone X with iMovie on it. That's how they shot this movie. Because
You
there
could,
actually
I
were
guess.
some pretty good shots. Like we laughed that there was like a couple good scenery shots. Like there was,
There was one shot.
they
going
didn't
through
fit the movie at all, but
Nope.
they were nice. They were pretty.
Well, that's another thing I made a comment on because like the one shot looked like a sunrise. It might have been sunset. Who knows? Because it goes from this like slow motion shot through the trees with the sun shining in.
It looked
and then
like a
goes through-
sunrise, but it was.
Then it goes to nighttime. Next shot's nighttime.
they're
I'm
in
like,
the-
what?
and that was when he told her he loved her and then left
Yep.
abruptly. I was
Kissed
just like,
her once and went, well, gotta go.
like most experiences I have with when you say that for the first time to a woman in your life or whoever your special person is, it's usually a little more of an event, kind of, right? Emotionally for everybody, you would think, especially since he's probably really distant because of his dead wife that we know nothing about.
Yeah. The fucking Mustang.
She
There's no
like,
explanation.
was she a horrible person, and that's why he doesn't talk about her?
Did he kill her?
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a 4th movie.
Fourth movie is
that
the
is
one.
is in behind everything that we can't see.
That's where he murdered her, put her in the trunk of that white Boss Mustang, drove her out to the middle of nowhere and
hey,
buried her.
Did John Travolta die? Did his character die at the end of Face Off? Or Nicolas Cage, when he switched faces, did he? Maybe this is the continuation.
He's dead. Oh wait, no.
And
Wait.
now he's in Talladega, Alabama, trading
Alabama?
paint. Yeah, the accents. We didn't really go into the accents.
The accents were bad. I can't even remember.
Well,
I
they
kept
were-
just going, I don't want your laugh.
it wouldn't surprise me if everybody was British except John Travolta,
Even Shania Twain.
especially Shania Twain.
Who's better?
I thought that was
Who's
Celine.
better your boots been under?
I thought that was Celine Dion. Who's better your boots been under, governor? Yeah, and I
feel like a woman.
and that's the silly thing is I was like, who is this woman? I'm like,
whole movie.
she looks like Shania Twain, and then you finally like 50 minutes in, you're like,
Hey, look, it's Shania Twain.
I'm like I knew, I thought that was Celine Dion.
You don't look like Celine Dion. Sing that Titanic song. So,
where are we at?
My
So,
goodness.
okay,
so Sam
let's-
wins the first race. He beats
Yeah,
the
the
son.
dad, and then the rest of the season happens, and we have no idea.
Well, hold on. I want to make one comment.
No,
There
you're-
was he goes on to what's the name of that radio station we wrote down?
Oh yeah, the old Hans Moleman
the Hans
experience.
Moleman experience. He's on the Redneck Joe Rogan show, and they're cutting between that and the garage where the son is now working.
And they're listening to the live
interview.
radio show. We call it a podcast just because it kind of looked really
It looked like a
cheesy.
podcast.
And
Because
this
it's
is a
2019.
podcast, so fuck it. It's 2019.
It was the Hans Moleman
It
experience.
was because no radio station would give that guy a job. that was Earl Brimley, wasn't it? Or it looked like him, the guy from Quaker Oats. That dude, what's his name?
Wilford Brimley.
Earl Brimley.
Diabetes.
Diabetes.
So we're cutting back and forth between the fucking shop and the radio show, and there's a dude who looked
And
like he had his eyebrows shaved off and some fake ones glued
No,
back on.
it looked like they shaved a gorilla's face.
Left the eyebrows.
His free-handed eyebrows.
They were ridiculous. I just wrote
was
down,
awesome.
"Hey eyebrows."
It was awesome.
But so this is ridiculous. Michael Madsen walks into this scene. He can hear them listening to this interview. Takes his hat off. Runs his hand through his hair a couple times.
In a
puts
very
his-
odd
yes,
way.
He grabs it from the top, reaches over to the front brim, and slowly peels it off.
Yeah, how you peel a lid off,
Peels it
peel off a cheese or something, whatever.
You're opening the top of a yogurt. He just peels it off.
Yeah. What?
So
with yogurt, it's fine. Your hat, crazy.
It was weird when he licked the hat and put it back on. But anyway, he runs his hands through his hair twice and then puts his hat back on. I'm like, okay. But he doesn't say a word. He's just looking at the guys
Look
working
like
on
he's
the
having
car.
a good time.
Yeah.
Look like he's having a good time.
When they're working on the car, he's noticing that they're listening to this radio show, and he's like,
They were laughing at some because they're making fun of something on the show because we can't understand them. It's all mumbling.
Yeah, they might have been making fun of him then.
Yeah.
Because he goes, and walks. Oh, meanwhile, some random female walks into the shop.
We did see her in the very first race that the son lost, like in the opening credit kind of sequence.
Oh.
And because I thought that was the wife of Michael Madsen, but we assume it's the daughter because he's later at that banquet thing with a blonde chick on his arm who was also in the winner's circle in the first race. So, but that's where she makes her appearance and like folds her arms and looks at everybody.
Her again.
And we're like, there's got to be some heat coming off of her, right? Like I figured she'd be trying to fuck the son.
Yeah.
Or that would make sense. That'd be a good angle, right? Everything I watch, I'm so wrestling based now. Like everything's like a shoot. You gotta work these. You gotta get some real heel heat. Just keep doing it. But anyway, that's what you'd expect from that character because she's given the shifty eyes. So you expect her, or even she would be a good like turncoat where she acts like she's on the son's side.
And sabotages like one team or the other. And
But
then
she's really
turns
working
her
for her
back
dad.
on the original team eventually and shows her honor.
And she's like, we're going to crush your mom's Mustang. We think it's your mom's anyways. We're not sure about the whole story either.
You just know it has sentimental value.
We assume you'll fill us in on it at some point during this
I still can't believe they did not explain the story of the Mustang.
Keep coming back to that fucking...
But it's like the biggest unanswered question in the whole movie. Like, why? What's the significance?
Your mother, Martha.
So then, okay, we go to the next race, we think, anyway. There's no title. There's nothing. And Michael Madsen comes over and leans on the windowsill of the car.
And talks through his arm.
And stares,
talks through his arm.
First stares at, is it Cam? Young Cam.
can't remember.
Cam and Sam.
I
think it actually
that
is.
makes it easier.
It's Cam. Looks
It's
at
Cam
Cam
for us now.
6 inches from his face, and he's kind of going, looking kind of sideways, and looking like, yeah. You're losing.
He's waiting for his line.
Yeah, swear to God, Tyler thinks that he has an earpiece in his ear, which it probably
not
does.
an earpiece. I think,
or just someone yelling.
There's somebody
That's
off
why
mic.
everything's ADR. Someone's going.
Even
You're losing in the points.
No. In that scene where he's leaning in the car and he's got both his arms up again in an awkward pose, a very awkward lean. The reason he's like looking down and like got his face down is because there's somebody, some
His lines are in his
some
in Miss
awful
Cam's lap.
Either he's got a notepad under his arms, or there's some horribly dedicated production assistant who's like laying on the ground saying, whispering his lines off mic.
You're losing in the standings. We're losing in the standings.
Yeah, exactly.
Your dad's kicking your ass. Your dad's kicking your ass.
Exactly. That's what I think.
It did feel like that.
Yeah, that's what. Because every scene he had these dramatic pauses that would be good acting in other movies, but it literally just felt like he Marlon Brando'd the shit out of it and was just showed up. It was like, give me the fucking whatever the fuck this is, Superman 4.
Martha. So he doesn't. He's basically saying, just kill your dad, get him out of the race,
Wreck 'em. Trade and paint.
But
I'm not sure if they said trade and paint ever either.
No, it's just trade and paint. Oh, they said the name.
Wait, what do you even think about these shitty movies when they're making them? Like it's like factory made movies is what they are, right? Like because maybe the reason we think there is 3 or 4 movies that were supposed to be from this story or this movie, maybe they were shot and they had the 6 hours of film and they're just like
make one film.
Some algorithm at Google created this movie and then it's just like, here 1 hour, 26 minutes, John Travolta trading paint. And it just shells them out. And then like Nicolas Cage does 6 movies and
An AI was forced to watch 6 hours of footage from 4 different movies. This is what it came up with.
Yeah, exactly. They're just punching a clock acting right now. So they go in and work 8 hours and basically just cut like soap opera lines. And then some machine cuts it all together every couple of weeks. Because you're like, how the fuck is Nicolas Cage making these movies, right?
And
Nicolas
a lot
Cage,
of them.
A lot of awful, awful movies. Gone in 60 Seconds is like his last movie I remember being like thought was a good movie. And it's even probably fucking terrible if you rewatch that one.
It's not great.
Giovanni Ribisi.
Lowrider, Downey. Lowrider.
It's kind of one of those classic, like,
It's exciting. It's still a fun movie.
because Eleanor is beautiful, all of it's great.
Boy, you need a role model.
My son.
My son, he's dying. He can't breathe.
I like, and even like it's shitty movies too. The way they like come into scenes when his son gets in an accident, John Travolta's like over top of him. It's the same thing. It's like somebody's like, "Do it now," and he's like looking, and he's like, "My son, my son," and the hair has to be directed.
So yeah, he doesn't wreck his dad, and then so this is just so I guess
The guy he punched in the bar.
Madsen was being sincere here though, because he's like, I shouldn't have asked you to hurt your daddy. That was a stupid thing to say.
He wasn't, because almost immediately after.
Oh yeah,
that,
because then he goes
doesn't
and talks to that other guy.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
think so.
Okay.
So he's definitely a two-faced guy.
Maybe that one cutaway scene in that one race was him talking to that guy who got punched out. Maybe he was like, I'm just keeping him on the back burner.
No, it's some other dude that looked like a business, like almost like another team owner, like a businessy type, because he was kind of fat and stuff, right?
That was
Like he
just
looked
so
like an
fucking
old
weird.
businessman.
It was just so weird. Yeah. There you go.
Guest spot.
Yes, the burps. So then we get
Came out of nowhere there. Sorry.
they go to some sort of what the hell would it be? A celebration of life or something?
Oh
With
yeah,
a band?
retirement party for a guy we
Retirement
never
party.
heard of.
Yep. Just
And we're
old-
like, oh, old Andy. And we're like, who the fuck is Andy? We didn't see him anywhere. Like, even when they did pit scenes, they're not like, thanks for all the hard work, Andy. Like, even the engine building, they're talking about engines being shit. Like, it's not even like it was about, nothing was about him. It was a moment for them to, like, put the camera on Travolta, bad guy, and son. Bad guy, son, and go between them.
yeah, which was so silly.
And then we had the mega mirror shot in the washroom between the son and dad.
He went and splashed water on his face like a face wash commercial.
Yeah.
Who washes their face like that?
Yeah, you put on a nice shirt and you go out, and then you throw water on yourself in a washroom, and then you come out, you're soaking wet. You doing all right there, bud? Great.
yeah.
Just perfect. Just perfect. Great. Really? I thought it was so odd, because I'm like, even when you got to go to the washroom with like nice pants on, you're like worried you're going to get a trickle on your leg or something. So you got to get into that real stiff leg stance, so you're like at maximum distance from urinal and splashback, just to ensure it doesn't happen, because you never know.
The worst is when you don't get a drop on there. And then it's one of those urinals that just has a little bit of extra pressure. You're like, you zip up, you're like, well, mission accomplished.
Or it's-
flush, splash. Fuck!
Or it's like the last shake on the way out. Ah.
Come on. that little bit of extra you just can't avoid sometimes. Fuck.
I was cocky.
It was the sink.
I didn't mean
splashed.
that to be a pun either.
Don't get cocky. So, yeah, then we came back and the band.
Oh yeah,
They were
I was
social assistants, Rob Zombie.
yeah, social assistants, Rob Zombie, unemployed Rob Zombie.
All right, the next one is Dragula, acoustic.
It was a country version of them, because they're wearing like those type of shirts, and it's like, burn through the witches.
Dig through the ditches and burn through the witches and slam in the back of my Dragula. Come on now.
Got the living dead girl.
Living dead girl.
Ding ding ding. Fucking on the jugs.
Living dead girl.
I
living dead girl.
didn't say stop.
Lisa, don't stop in the middle of the hoedown.
Oh dear.
So now, they have the mirror conversation.
Mirror conversation.
Which is ridiculous.
And then the wreck must happen immediately after.
Yes,
that,
now we have the.
and there's no emotion.
We don't know what race it is.
We have no idea. And this is season 2, presumably, that we're now in.
We're assuming, but
Mid-season 2.
the obvious sabotage of this young driver, because this dude that's gonna like make him crash is doing like half the speed of everyone else. And it's like,
Yeah.
what's going on with this car? Seems to be going kind of slow. There's no smoke though or anything else, and he's just like looking over his shoulder, like, where is he? There he is, and gives the thumbs up to the guy who he's making
Michael Madsen.
Michael
Bad
Madsen.
guy.
And sounds like, yeah, I got him, boss.
And as I said, a lot of helmet shots of just eyes, and and I was always confused. I'm like, was that Madsen or was that Travolta? Like, it would always, if you weren't really watching, you had trouble. But I guess you could tell Madsen's face because it's like Troy McClure and made of leather.
Troy McClure.
He looks that's what he looks like. Is Troy McClure
peeling his fucking skin way back.
Yeah, he's so gross. But yeah, they give him the thumbs up on the way by. And again, if you've watched dirt racing, these guys can't really like let go of the wheel, and
they're going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, and the guy's slowing down from like to the back of the pack, and the announcer's giving the plot. Basically going, all right, guys, if he's going to slow down here and just give us a little more plot for the next 20 minutes of this movie. We got to hit 1 hour and 25 minutes.
Well, so he spins the son out. This is the thing. So I'm sure the son and the father are pretty damn close together on this track, right? They would have been. He's the points leader, and he's like second.
Well, but the speed at which they showed the race happening, like they were barely doing 20 clicks.
Yeah.
So they had plenty of time to see the whole thing go down. But
the son gets spun out. Yeah, and then he's like, oh no, and there's a car in front, like blocking his view.
And even and they even do it like really, it's like a really abrupt veer into him, like just it's like a pit maneuver.
Yeah.
In the wide open, and he spins, and again they're barely going fast, and Travolta comes up and smashes into him
with no time to turn at all.
Big fireball, huge fireball, big fireball, and what was even sillier, just jumping ahead. I think in the last race, the plot announcers were again. Filling us in, like catching us up on the
little exposition here for you folks,
just in case you missed it. But they also mentioned they're like, I think they even say something about the son being wrecked by that Dunn guy, and they're like, some folks speculate that it was on purpose, and you're like, it fucking was. We're watching the movie, like it's just you fucking like they break the fourth wall. They break the fourth wall, and then they pretend like we're not getting a voiceover of the movie, for 30%, 40% of the action.
Folks round these parts think. Shut up. They didn't have accents. Why would they have folks round these parts?
The Duke boys figure.
Oh, the Duke boys again. And then we come to my son, he can't breathe.
Yeah.
And then he's in the hospital. So, God.
So even jumping, like, it's part of all the same thing. But yeah, we get the hospital scene. The doctor says he's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And his legs are fucked up, but he's going to be all right. I think
he's in traction or something.
And then she draws something on her clipboard and ignores them for a minute.
I think it was
written in the script. Yeah, and I think
draw a duck on
it would be
clipboard.
interesting to find out what she did. Like, God, I hate my life or something because you got this one-line role in a shit Travolta Amazon Prime movie. But so he's fine. But then he doesn't go see him. Like the next scene is
he's looking through the crack of the door. He's like, well, he won't be able to hear you. But any father, I'm assuming, would be like, fuck that. I don't want to see my son.
Yeah.
Let me see my son. But he stares at him through the door for a few minutes, and then the most awful montage.
And I will say, like, if you think about it, if this movie was well made, we'd understand. They would have given us a lot more Travolta being guilty about running into him.
Yeah, because this next montage.
But also, even he could have watched a video of the race, because even though we're not talking NASCAR, they probably do film that race. Mm-hmm. So he could watch and go, that piece of shit done, spun him.
Yeah.
And then I hit him, and he would, and then he would go beat Dunn up again. And they didn't do that. It just kind of like, we just have to assume.
It got cut out.
We just have to assume that he feels bad, but they never really like. He's always, he doesn't want to see me, What's that voice thing that they talk about where you talk really
vocal fry?
No, where you talk.
Wait,
it's
NPR?
like
NPR.
It's on. No, it's on. It's like a. It's a thing you watch on YouTube that's relaxing. It's got an abbreviation though, like ADR or something like that.
Katie always says
yeah.
It's 4 letters, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember.
She's listening to this going, God damn it, it's this.
There you go, like.
So just kind of
rub the mic like this, just like really quietly. Just relax, Jeff.
There's 2 fans pulling hair over here. Probably. Can you hear that?
That's what you do. It's so weird because the first time I heard it, I'm like, God damn it, it is kind of relaxing.
Soothing.
It is. It's fucking soothing. So I don't even want to watch it. I'm like, damn it, it's so good. You just
what is this, like YouTube videos?
You can watch it. There's people who are YouTube famous from it.
Really?
Fuck yeah.
I want to start a channel.
Just start a channel. I think didn't I tell you when I heard of it? I was like, you should start a fucking channel.
I don't think so, no.
I thought I did because I'm like, I thought it was just kind of a silly thing. And
you just talk about anything?
And yeah, but I guess it's just like, it's probably yoga type people that are doing more popular ones. But yeah, they'll make noises, like even just like some sort of basic, like, but I've heard of rubbing the mic and they'll get different like foam covers that sound differently, and then they crank up all the levels to catch it.
Yeah.
And then they just like whisper, like just catch the wave. Can you hear it, Cooch? Catch it.
You can just relax and think of nothing else but the sound of your own.
Sounds like the wind. It's kind of fun too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should check it out when you drive back.
I'll
You should
figure out
try
what
to
it
do it. It's weird.
Falling asleep at the wheel.
It's weird because it is oddly relaxing. It's scary.
Yeah, see, because Katie has demonstrated that before, but not to the. I'm like, okay, but I can't remember what the fuck
Well, it
it's
makes sense. It's like white noise kind of thing. It's just like a soothing noise, and that's why I even like the mic scratching. And there's different ones where I can't even remember. It's silly shit, but it's
like
funny.
Googled super quiet.
I'm pretty sure I've even heard of them like petting like a stuffed animal, where they put a mic on a stuffed animal, they just pet it really softly, and then they just whisper and go, "Just pet."
Just
There's a certain tone they pull off that's interesting.
I can't remember. Hold on.
It's so silly how you can become famous in this day and age, but
ASMR.
ASMR.
That's what it is. Okay. Knew there was an MR in there somewhere.
Yeah.
An S and an A.
And it has to do with like the frequencies, obviously, right?
Yeah.
We like low frequencies and tones that, yeah. So give it a try.
Soothing baritone.
I listened to a bunch of them. It just makes me laugh because once you realize what you're hearing, you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I listening
You
to this?
spent 8 hours doing
But then when you do it, it almost like relaxes you. I think even when you do it, it probably I can feel it almost like making me like kind of
chill.
Yeah, chill out, right?
I should start doing this at home. Just turn this on and just talk to myself here.
Well, even you could just
do some whispering.
you could just read stories.
Like the story of this awful movie.
Like I can't stop smiling when I do it.
Trade paint. John Travolta. In Face Off.
That would be a funny show idea.
Yeah.
Review it in ASMR.
Everything ASMR.
Do short
That's
clips.
probably called. His son is in the hospital. He goes like down to the track and looks at the pieces on the
Because
track
now
still.
they agreed to that was part of it too. But he finally goes sees the son, and then they agree that he's going to come back and he's going to build the car. Right?
They have a total mumble conversation in the hospital room.
Yeah, and then
that's when we turned on subtitles because we're like
Yeah.
we should probably have subtitles.
And that's how dad decides to sell the car so he can afford to do the motor. And it's like, dude, you got a shop full of shit you don't fucking use. Like he had there's all sorts of shit laying around. He's like, I'm going to sell this car that means everything to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't sell my fucking car. Like my car.
And what's the significance of it?
Yeah, I'm like, mine has significance to me. I've had it since I was like 18. My dad bought it for me. There's a reason I will never get rid of that car. And he's just like,
My
there's
wife
apparently some
maybe died in this car.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Or he's like, I murdered my wife and buried her body in this car. I should probably just sell it.
There's still-
Too many bad memories.
There's still the empty bag of lime in the trunk.
Oh, I'll keep the shovel though.
I mean, I can't even do the bad Southern accent. I'm trying to.
There's still
we're
bags.
forgetting this.
There's
we're
still
forgetting this
bags of
whole
lime.
movie.
Still bags of lime on the trunk.
This whole movie is done in a bad Southern accent. The only good one is
Austin.
Shania Twain, who is not American and does not have a place accent. Her Canadian accent sounds more Southern than anybody else's bad Southern accent.
She's got a bit of that British in there. British.
Governor.
Oh, British actors.
That's a fast car, Governor.
Who's better be who's been under? No, that's fucking totally Aussie now. It's a little bit of both. Yeah. Also, we were saying the kid and the dad, Sam and Cam, don't look related at all.
No, he
At
looks
all.
Israeli. The son looks Israeli, and John Travolta looks like a human clone.
Or his son kind of looks like a money counter.
Not a human clone that we created, but one another race created in order to blend in with humans. Because you can see the suture mark on the middle of his forehead for his scalp.
That hair was award winning.
It was pretty seamless.
Best actor in the movie.
Do you remember that Simpsons episode on the Halloween Horror when Snake's Homer gets Snake's hair?
Oh, yeah.
Transplant? All right.
All right. Oh no, Beta. So we get to
Takes
now he
premium, dude.
Yeah, premium. So we've already addressed him retiring and then going to fucking sell his car. Oh yeah, they buy a new engine. So they buy a new engine. They trade. You like bikes?
Oh, right.
What? So they trade $80,000 and a flat 51 panhead for an engine. We don't even get to. Do we even get to see the engine?
Did he say $80,000?
I think he said eight, or maybe he said $8,000.
Well,
Eight
and
grand
now
plus.
remember, I had no idea what was going on in that thing.
Yeah,
Because
you're like,
the dude's like, there's a bike in the shop, and he goes, "You into bikes?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'll trade you this 51 Panhead." And I'm like, why the fuck is he making a deal on a bike right now? But then you're like, no,
a
the guy
sweet
likes
bike.
bikes. He's going to sell him the motor for the other motor to get the one for the car. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm like, what an asshole.
Now they're just filming real life. This guy's like, yeah, I don't have a bike though. I want to get this bike. I'll give you all the money we have.
John, this bike is sick.
What about the engine?
Out of character, they're still shooting. Fuck.
Sorry, guys. He's just buying shit on his fucking own time.
So yeah, they montage us through the new car.
A small bit of building. And
We don't
stuff.
get any montage of the son like getting better, rehabbing from his leg
None.
limp that we had.
None.
We don't really show the wife and the kid growing. And it's been 3 seasons. That kid has not grown.
Yeah, not even a little bit.
Because
And
even at the end, when the fuck is the first birthday? Isn't that birthday party they have the first birthday for that daughter? And that's like mid-movie, maybe?
I can't even remember.
I can't even remember.
They only touched on that wife and kid so little. Like I have no idea what was happening with her.
But as I said, it seems to have been 3 seasons of racing, which would in theory be 3 years.
Unless the seasons, like you said, are only like 4 months at a time, and maybe where they
And
are, they do
I am
like 2 seasons in a year.
And I'm
maybe.
unaware of like how hardcore racing is in Alabama.
Season breaks are 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah, well, it's probably just like
3 seasons in a year.
we stop at Thanksgiving and Christmas, God's days. But you know, around here,
Around here.
don't you know? The racing season's just like summer basically. You can't run it all year, or it might go like spring to fall. But even then, I'm sure it's not constant. So, but yeah, down in southern U.S. there wouldn't be snow, so you might be able to run it pretty much year round.
That's what it seemed like. It didn't seem like they had to deal with any cold weather because I think they shot this movie in like a week.
Well, there's no context in this movie anyway, so we have no idea.
Nothing.
We barely know where it is. We know it's in Talladega, the racetrack. We don't really know what town. I know Talladega is a town, but I don't think it's that big. I think it's just kind of where racing
What
is.
state is it in?
I think it's Alabama. I feel like it's near Birmingham. Is what I remember.
Alabama.
But I could be wrong.
Bama.
Birmingham's closer than we are, so I'm not wrong.
So they start doing the description of the car now, and I didn't catch any of it because I was just doing what's his face from Dazed and Confused, McConaughey.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you what Mel Vitosa is packing. We got 411 posi track.
Oh,
out
right,
back,
right,
750 double pumper, board over, 11-to-1 pop up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some fucking muscle.
Power to weight ratio is 1,060 to 1.
Man, I'll tell you what.
Man, I'll tell you what.
Propane.
It's just boomhauer the shit out of it.
So when we got, I wrote down I miss Jim Varney because you made some comment about
right,
if
right.
Ernest was still alive, this would be
If
Ernest
Jim
is
Varney,
trading paint.
yeah, if Ernest trades some paint, and that's what it'd be. And Ernest would have been in John Travolta's role, and it would have been a
been
great,
amazing.
great movie.
What do you mean, Vern? Is Vern still alive?
Because imagine doing the Hey Vern from like the driver's seat of the car of the race cars.
Hey, Vern.
Hey Vern, just cutting some laps in Talladega. What's going on?
How can they hear each other? Because there's no radio communication in these cars at all.
No,
It
not
seems
the
like
rim.
if they're putting this much effort into
Strictly
like,
eye contact.
yeah, just you look good still.
Eye contact, thumbs up. We got it.
There's something wrong with your left tire. What? The next lap. So then we get 70 minutes in. We finally get that car montage. It took 70 minutes for us to get a little bit of building on the cars. That's with 15 minutes left in this movie. Did they skip over an entire season? Yes. This movie was missing an entire season of footage. Like, it's crazy. And then we get to the last race, or this. Well, this is the.
Well, because even like
This is the
Talladega
last
Nights
race.
built up the season.
Yeah.
Built up the fight over time, and it's a fucking comedy movie in this
Built
movie.
tension. But
Yeah,
this one, so
Talladega Nights.
they finally give us a lap counter, and these are 50 lap races.
In the last race, they finally give us information on the race, so we can actually not just rely on the plot announcers to tell us exactly what's going on.
The last race of season 3.
And as I said, not knowing tons of dirt racing, but you almost need to see the whole track to get it because it's all about momentum. The cars just slide, and it was just so stupid. And there was nothing, no ups and downs. They just kind of like, they showed the lap counter, but there was no
Up to
but there was no
48 out of 50.
description really happening in between. Like you'd think they'd be like, like I said at lap 23, they're like, oh, he slipped back a little bit, and then it, flipped to 28, and he'd be like, oh, he's working his way back up to the front.
Yeah.
None of that. It was just silence through, and just the cars,
Could've
28,
showed us
32,
some,
40,
some
da, da, da.
crashes. Somebody might have been, in a wreck
The
or
ups
something.
and downs, and then those 30 laps they showed us on the counter or simulated on the counter we have to assume was all the other races because it just all of a sudden was in the main event, right? Mm-hmm. So it just.
Well, then we get lap 40 out of 50 and then music.
Oh, right. And he wins the race. I'm trying to remember.
The music starts up in the last 2 laps, and it is. I just wrote the last lap music question marks exclamation points because it was insane. I can't remember.
We knew something bad was going to happen because the music changed, and then he spun and went.
Oh yeah,
way down. Like it's the last 2 laps on a track that's like 10 feet long, and that's exaggerating. But these dirt laps are fucking
very
short
short
if they're actually racing the speed they do. And he spins out. They're like, "How's he gonna get back?" And he's like, "He's not. In real life, you would be done. You would be out." So he spins. Somehow they make it look like the rules allow for him to like catch back up to the pack before they restart the race
and
because
pass
the spin
the whole pack.
Passes the whole pack. They never show us a green flag to show the race has started. That just all of a sudden he's passing people, and you're like, all right, I guess that's the green
He's
flag.
back in second.
And then he's back in second immediately, and right down to the last second, and beats him. Instantly goes
They didn't
into.
show him winning.
No, it
didn't show him win.
It instantly goes into celebration music. Cut to the son's eyes. And show emotion in his eyes, which you can't see. And then it cuts to John Travolta and Shania Twain reaction shots in between highs and lows in the music. And all we can hear is music.
Yeah, nothing
Everything
else.
cuts out. It's just... And again, it was such an awful country... Like, it was like singing and stuff.
Something about, like, getting out there and doing my thing.
Yeah, because remember...
Gonna win it. Yeah.
Yeah, he said something about trying hard or doing it the right way.
Doing my best. Trying real hard.
Yes.
I love you, son.
And then that was basically the end of the movie.
Yeah, because it just cut from like different people celebrating in very weird, odd ways.
And I think, and then it showed him like pop the champagne bottle and do a little bit of that. I think, right?
I know it.
And maybe it did give us the speech at the end. Is that where the speech happened? Where the son tells him dad stuff, or did it just go cut it?
No, he's like, I knew you could do it, or something like that. Something stupid like that. It's like a little 101, and he's like, yeah, did it. We did it together, and then it freeze frame on John Travolta,
right. And like a
freeze frame fade out,
and like a Family Matters, like jumping in the air,
never
cheering.
surrender.
Yeah. Like a Family Guy bit. That's what it was. And then we're like. And then the music's really loud, and then it starts fading. Loud. It starts fading out. I'm like, are they giving us like a fucking credit scene in this fucking movie? And we get a credit scene. We get
and it is
where we can't hear anything.
Can't hear a thing. It's all indistinct chatter.
A Shania Twain song, I think.
It might have been.
There was one that played the credits.
Unless she changed the way she sings, she was a little more like indie kind of soulful.
But she is like 50 now. It's not going to be Who's Better Your Boots Been Under Forever.
50.
What are the other great Shania Twain songs? There's Boots.
Who's Better Your Boots Been Under? Oh shit! Fuck.
I can't remember anything.
Damn it. Hang on.
All I got is the Boots song in my head. That's all.
Who's been your boots been? Wait.
I can't think of any. They're on the radio
If
somewhere.
I change my mind a million times, I want to hear him say, yeah, 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 yeah.
Well, what's it called?
Any man of mine.
Any man of mine. That's what it is. Yeah. Okay, now I got it.
And then, fuck, I can't remember any other
There's
one.
a couple. There's like a handful, I think, of big
This
Shania songs.
montage goes for a full minute 30.
And
they're just at a dinner table, all
now-
indistinct chattering.
And that's the stupid thing is like, why give us any?
Yeah.
Because we can kind of hear them. We can hear like, you can hear the laughing and the highs and lows in the voices. But the subtitle said inaudible chatter, and it's like, then why the fuck are we watching a credit scene of them just sitting around a table?
Was there an extra child in there or something? Are we supposed to notice that maybe it's been a year or something? People have grown up.
I don't know.
It's just fucking water bottles all over the table.
I guess it's just to show the big happy family moment at the end because they probably when they cut it together, they're like, well, we can't just end this movie on this fucking freeze frame, can we? And they're like, give them an Avengers style post credit shot, and we'll build up for the sequel.
But we sat here and waited for the next one.
And then the editor shot himself because he heard sequel.
That's how it ends.
Yeah,
This movie was garbage.
Yeah.
There was nothing enjoyable about it. There was no, except for looking at Shania Twain because she looked really good for her
Shania
age.
Twain looked really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the son's wife. She was pleasant and at least was trying to act reasonably. And there were some nice shots, and they used a high-quality camera, it looked like.
Yeah. Well, once we realized that you had the dynamic mode on, I'm like, what? This thing looks like shit. It's like they shot it on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Then we switched it to movie mode. It's like, okay, that looks more
It
normal.
still looks like shit.
Still
'Cause they
looks
mostly
bad.
did it with a handheld and it's shaky,
you-
and you're like, I'd rather you have more of like a solid shot on this one. And yeah, and the framing was fucking stupid. Like,
The handheld shots just sporadically. That was almost like they went, shit, we need a shot of her walking down the hallway. It's 10 o'clock, man. Let's just grab it now. Just use your phone. Just walk behind her.
yeah,
All right, cut.
Everybody hold your phones up for lighting, and they just all put it on fucking FaceTime or whatever and did it.
So fucking terrible.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I don't recommend it. I don't, but it still puzzles me why these movies are made at all. Like, where they come from, and what is the point? Even if they are filler, like, where are they filling time? Where is content needed, Jeff?
Well, there must be some sort of.
Who requests these? It's got to be some fucking
This looks like-
supervillain holding a big cigar, going, "Give me more shit."
More shit movies.
Call Travolta. Tell him we'll give him $50 to feature in this piece of shit.
Movie idea. John Travolta has been held hostage by some sort of rich billionaire and is being forced to shoot these movies and pretend that everything is okay. He's a Scientologist too, right?
Just think hard target, but
Oh.
being forced to shoot bad movies.
How does it feel to be haunted? Oh, Van Damme.
I guess that one should have recommended that one maybe to do, but I don't know if I have access to Hard Target easily. We might have to find that one somewhere to download it or whatever.
It's so good.
Hard Target was always
Fuck, I'd love to watch
it was
that.
my favorite, but it was so fucking cheesy. But his jumping spin kicks are to die for.
That's what we love about Van Damme.
It's
Is
wonderful.
those impractical flying split kicks.
And he had to get custom made jeans, right? Because this is pre like spandex, 1% spandex in your jeans that makes everything a little stretchy. This is the fucking 80s and 90s.
I don't know how those jeans had to have stretched because, or they were like jean.
They're karate
colored-
jeans probably or something.
Man,
right?
they were always super tight, but he could do the splits.
I guess it
in them.
wouldn't be hard to like make fake acid wash jeans out of sweatpants.
They're just wearing
Fucking
these. They're
80s.
leggings that look like jeans. Because of my big legs and karate, I can do the splits, no
I
problem.
like how it just you basically like it's like they all sound the same. Like even George St. Pierre like sounds like Jean-Claude Van Damme when you hear him talk.
I am going to take him down, and we're going to wrestle around for 5 hours. For 5 rounds.
Stick to the game plan.
We'll stick to the game plan and keep. We practice for this. We train for him, and we go to make sure that we go the 5 rounds and win. We'll get that title back.
Come at them.
Good-
Oh,
good.
you know what'd be a good one to do too is I always loved Universal Soldier. It was a good Van Damme movie.
GR44.
'Cause
Get
it had-
back to the trailer.
It had a bit of a budget, so it wasn't completely terrible.
pretty
But there's
sweet
lots
movie.
of bad cuts, like Total Recall
I need
or
ice.
Running Man type of bad cuts or editing in the way it's all laid together. But it is fun. Yeah, I do. Universal Soldier is one maybe we might have to
Well,
look up and see if it's on tonight.
Dolph Lundgren was a fucking great villain in that. Like he fucking like was
He's
crazy.
a good '80s villain that
Yeah.
probably can't be matched. And he's really smart, apparently. I think he has.
He's like a fucking
he's like-
physicist. an
Yeah, it's like I
astrophysicist.
feel like he's some sort of
yeah,
some
he's
sort of heavy science.
He's
dude.
super smart.
Nice.
That I don't know if Rogan's had him on the podcast, but he should.
I still don't know if you'd understand him. It sounds like it'll all be like this. Rocky, I crush you.
break him
Give it to me.
up and at them.
I just think of like, yeah, exactly. I'm just thinking of a Rainier Wolfcastle impersonation. That's all I imagine whenever you hear anything close to that accent. You're just like, 1 highway, 0 city. That's all I hear.
Is that real acid?
The goggles do nothing.
Oh man. Okay, let's rate this piece of shit. I give it 1 bad W beard out of
Waluigi.
1 bad Waluigi beard out of 7 bad wigs.
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it 2 out of 6 party up fronts, and 4 out of 6, or no, business up fronts. Sorry, I did that backwards.
Gotcha.
2 out of 6 business up fronts, and 4 out of 6 party in the back. Because there wasn't enough mullets. I thought there, being a NASCAR movie, we needed some mullet action. There was
Needed some
none.
Kentucky waterfalls.
Kentucky Waterfalls is a throwback to one of my earlier recordings.
It's a Kentucky waterfall. I think we had that in the Judge Dredd. Was Judge Dredd? I
Yeah,
think?
when we were Mystery Science Theatering it. Yeah, that was good.
All right. Well, We call
We
it
can
that.
close this with some ASMR of me scritching my beard.
We now leave you with Tyler scratching his beard. Thank you very much for having Tyler Myers on the podcast with us. We're here in Brandon, Manitoba, and this is Tyler's beard scratching on the microphone.
Thank you, Jeff.
Bye, everybody.
This is Real Garbage.